Hi. Thank you for the invitation for me to be here talking about Springer and also about all the tools that we have to help you publishing. First of all, let me tell you about the presentation. I'm going to divide the presentation in 4 points. The first one is introducing Springer and actually myself as well. I'm going to be talking a bit about publication in Russia, and then, which I think is the goal of this presentation, the workshop, it's the publishing tools that we have and exist, and also the publishing research and publishing research papers and books. So I'm a scientist actually. I did my PhD in Barcelona, where I'm from. Then I moved to, my PhD was about marine paleoseismology. That means that we were trying to investigate earthquakes through the sediment in the ocean. Then I moved to Stanford University, where I studied for 3 years paleoclimatology in this lake, as you can see here in Torres del Paine in Chile. And it means that my background is in geology, I would say, but I've been working within different systems, like in terms of academia in Spain, also in the US, and also in Latin America. So I think that gives me a nice overview of the situation in the world. Springer it's a company that started like 165 years ago, and it was created by Julius Springer in Berlin. And during that time, more than 150 Nobel Prizes published with Springer. I think that gives a bit of it's a nice picture of to say that that Springer normally publishes high quality. It doesn't mean that all the authors that publish with us get the Nobel Prize, but all the authors have a very high quality. In 2014, for example, all the Nobel Prizes were authored with Springer, just to have, this is our goal, it's just to have high quality content and then promoting the rest of the authors. I think it's a good point. I'm going to give some numbers about the Russian publication. So Russia is the 13th country with more documents published in the world. Sorry? Here, there are a few figures, few numbers that are important. The number of documents is very important, but I really like to highlight the citable documents. This is the most important number. So everything that you publish has to be citable. Otherwise, it's not going to be appreciated by the international community or by the community. So just take into account that. And also, once you publish in the journal that better fits your goal, the citations that you are going to have are going to be higher. We are going to talk about that, which I think it's very important. So having a lot of citations will impact on the H index that we are going to see also in the next slides. This is a slide with the distribution of the impact of the different papers by topics. As we can see here, it's the sites in the vertical. We can see the sites per document, and also in the horizontal, we can see the H index. Are you familiar with the H index? No? Does anyone here knows what the H index is? Do you know that that exists? Yes? So basically, it's a number, it's an algorithm that tells you how many references have the papers, all the papers of a specific researcher. For example, it means that it's an index. It doesn't go to your paper. It doesn't go to your journal, or it goes to you. So accumulates all along the papers that you are citing, creating. So here we can see the H index, the formula of the H index. Okay, so the more sites that your documents have, the higher is going to be your H index. So in this figure, for example, we can see that physics and astronomy in Russia is the one that has a stronger H index. This other figure, it's a representation of the last 17 years, I guess, and a number of documents published. We can see that the trend is obviously good. It's going up. However, in comparison with other countries, it's not that positive. And for that reason, we are here. Because here in this figure, for example, we have the Russian Federation in red for the last 17 years. We also have Brazil, Mexico, and Germany, which are countries that have more or less the same population. And as we can see, at some point, and we can demonstrate that also with other countries. We are showing only 4, but if more or less in 2002, between 2002 and 2006, a lot of countries had like a departing, like it was like a flight, it was just taking off. It happened in Germany in 2001, 2002. It happened in Brazil in 2006, more or less. And because of the large number of documents that Russia is publishing in Russia, we think it's going to happen in Russia in the next years. So this is our purpose. It's just helping to have this taking off operation kind of in Russia in the next years. So for that reason, I'm going to be talking about the Springer support, because at the end, we are a publisher, and we have the goal of publishing your documents, but this is not our only goal. We separate, as we said before, we separate our job in three levels. The first one is helping you out to publish, so having workshops, for example, and also creating tools online that are going to be helping you along the process. We also want to publish in the best possible manner, so the production, this is also our goal. But the final process, it's just to spread your content. The most visibility that your documents have, the higher is going to be your citation, your H impact is going to be the number of citations, and it's going to be your visibility. So our commitment is not only with the publication, but it's in all along the process. The main thing, it's like your research is not finished until it's published. And actually, in most of the cases, it's published in English, because there is not going to have the enough or the proper visibility if it's published in other languages. One of my mother languages is Spanish, which has more or less the same number of speakers than Russian. And I really like publishing and writing in Spanish, but there is a problem. My visibility, the visibility of my work, it's not going to be as high. The impact is going to be lower, actually, if it's only in Spanish. So in a way, we have to be deciding to move to English if we want to have the same level of impact that other countries have. And for example, here it's Brazil. Brazil at some point in 2005 to 2006, they changed and they started publishing a lot, and in English. And now Brazil is one of the most powerful countries in terms of number of papers and books. Why publishing? I think the most important is like because a lot of, I think it's to be fair. A lot of people, we are publishing with public money, and public money, if we do the research but we don't publish at all, that it's not going to be visible. So it means that we are not giving back to the society the opportunity that as a scientist we had doing research. So I think it's very good that we publish. It's very good. It's mandatory. It should be mandatory, publish in English in order to to give back what the society, our country, gives to us. If we go to the webpage of Springer.com, we will see a number of topics that are going to be tools or in order to improve our presentations or publications. Here you can see all the different chapters. We are going to see them briefly now, but you are going to find all those topics. Why publishing in English? Why is good writing? Why is writing important? Also, before you begin, identifying hot topics, how to choose a journal, structuring your manuscript. All those topics we are going to treat them today. But if you want to have more information in the future, just go to the Springer.com and we have a web page with guidelines that are for sure going to help you. The first thing, YouTube. In YouTube, you are going to find interviews to authors of Springer that are going to tell you their view, their impressions, some tips, and for sure they are going to help you out in the process of writing. We also have templates that can be used, can be downloaded and used to simplify the process of formatting, for example. And just focusing a little bit more in English. English is important, again. And for that reason, we agree with a third company, which is called Hindex, to have special deals for our authors. If your English is not as good as you would like, might be good to have the editing service of Hindex, for example, in order to have this high quality language. Because at the end, I mean, writing is important, but we are researchers, so we need to find out, to make the effort to write also properly. Every time that I have a presentation, I like to ask the people, how many scientists are in the room? And then I ask, how many authors? And definitely there are less authors than scientists. People write papers, they write books, but they don't consider themselves authors. And I think it's very important that you consider yourself authors because you spend more time writing than doing research, or at least a lot of people does that. So do that. So that I think it's important, seeing yourself not only as a researchers or scientists, but also as writers. Hindex is this company. You can find the information in Springer.com, and those are specialists, native English speakers with PhDs normally, that are going to do their best in order to have the English level of your presentation at a high level. Then we have a problem. I'm going to go backwards and I'm going to ask. Do you mind if I ask you? Okay, it means yeah, you don't mind. So, how many? What I would like to ask. What's your criteria to choose a journal? Is there anyone here publishing in journals? Publishing in journals? You publish in journals? Okay. Okay, publishing in journals, especially for not native English speakers, it's difficult, it's tricky. And basically everybody or either take what it's easier because it's the university and know the people, or they take the citation index in order to choose. Citation index, it's good, but for us, for not English speakers, it's like the main thing. Like everything starts and ends in the citation index. And that's actually not a good criteria. We need to make sure that the people that are going to read our paper is the right audience. And for that reason, we want to help you out choosing the journal. For example, to choose a journal, you have, first of all, you can, if you don't know where to publish your journal, you have to talk with colleagues. They are going to maybe give you some nice tips in order to have a right choice. You can check websites, like forums, and also follow the references of the articles that you are reading. If you are reading an article and they are talking about a specific topic, and this is your topic, might be a good journal for your research as well, right? You can use Scopus and you can use other digital libraries in order to choose. And then, for sure, you can go to the publisher's website and check the possibilities that they have. Go for authors and just pick. So this is not one solution. Just make sure that you are confident with the journal that you choose. And for sure, you can use also the expertise of the people of the library staff in your university, or in your research center, because, I mean, they are also working in order to help you out. Okay, they have a lot of experience, and then for sure they are going to help you. We created, in addition, so if you don't know where to publish and those tips were not enough, we created this algorithm. It's in Springer.com, and you can, what you can do is to say what you're talking about, and they are going to suggest a couple of possibilities. Here, you're going to be seeing, and probably you saw already, QR codes. Just use those links because those are the link to that you have down. You can also write down the link. So this is how it works. So we have this web page again with the QR code. You have your abstract. You copy and paste your abstract in the box, and then you can say match only to journals with an impact factor. You can say also that you want an open access, and then you go to find matching journals, and this is what you have. Earthquakes, in that case, you have they suggest you to publish in this earthquake engineering or pure and applied geophysics. You can tell that I'm a geologist, but it can be for every field anyways. So they also tell you the match, how well fit your abstract in this journal. They tell you the impact factor, because yes, this is also a reason to publish in a journal, but it's not the only one. And they tell you also which kind of journal it is, if it's open access or not. At the end, once you have a short list of possibilities, you have to go to the web page of the journal and check the aims and the scopes to make sure that your selection is proper. I had this, I mean, actually a few months ago, I'm still publishing, and a few months ago I submitted my paper to a journal that I thought it was good, but the editor told me that the aims and scopes were not the right ones. So at the end, they reject the paper, not because the paper was bad, but because the aims and scopes. So if you don't want to waste time, just make sure to do it properly. And at the end, you also can have something that I think is very important, which is a list of similar papers that have been published in the specific journal. Make sure that no similar articles have been published in the recent months, or like maybe a year, because they might not be interested in publishing your article. I think those are reasons for rejection. That doesn't mean that your work, your research is bad, or your paper is bad. So just make sure to optimize the process as much as possible. As I said before, we also have documents, guidelines, and information on Springer.com, especially in this author website, part of the Springer.com. You can scan the QR code if you want. And there you will find even more information about publishing. Those are other tools that you can always check. And the good thing of that is that it's always updated. So whenever you come back, might be new information. We have people working on that because making the process of publishing as easy as possible is one of our jobs. And we really like doing that. So just make sure to follow new tools that are just being released. Social media. I really like social media, especially because I'm in charge of the social media department of Earth Sciences. And I like to say about social media is that there is always an editor behind social media. So whenever you see a social media in your field, you can send them information, you can send them questions. It's like if you send an email. It's the same thing. We are the same people, and our job is to make your life easier. So for that reason, whenever you see the climate, for example, webpage, you can see, Juliana is behind that, so she's going to be replying your emails more or less 24/7. Might be that if you write it on Saturday, maybe you have to wait till Monday, but not even that. Sometimes even she replies every day. So we also have LinkedIn, Twitter. Are you using social media for work purposes? Is anyone here using social media for work purposes? I mean.
I use Twitter. It's about industrial furnaces, so I get some information about it. It's very useful.
Okay. And LinkedIn? Are you using LinkedIn? No? Okay, just to know. I mean, that's starting. I'm pretty sure social media is going to stay. It's not something like it's temporary. And we are investing in that. So our job is also to support you with new tools. So here, for example, we publish about so here, Sheresta is publishing about the abstract deadline for an international congress. So we tell about deadlines, we talk also about our books, we talk about different stuff. So if you want to be updated, you can follow that. As I said before, our job, it's not finished whenever your manuscript is published. We want to spread as much as possible your job. And for that reason, we are present in more than 650 conferences every year. And every time that we have a booth, as you can see in the picture, your books are going to be displayed there. And I think that's a very important thing because at the end, the most visibility that your work has, the biggest is going to be the impact. We don't work only in conferences because at the end it's 650, it's a lot, but it's not enough. So we have to be everywhere, and for that reason we are using search engine optimization to have to be in Google, for example, at the top, to be as much visibility, as good visibility as possible. We also have e-campaigns with banners, for example, and we also send emails with information about the different releases that have been coming up. Sorry. This Springerlink, I like a lot this tool. Are you familiar with Springerlink? No? Is any person here familiar? It's our library, but basically this is our library, but it's very easy to use. You just type the keyword that you want, maybe your field, maybe whatever you want, right? Geology, for example, in my case, and then, like I could say, like turbidites, something that I like a lot, turbidites. So turbidites, and then I will find here the number of the results related to that specific keyword. But you say, okay, but I don't really want everything about turbidites in my case, right? So you can go here and select, okay, I only want the results in articles or in books. Because sometimes books and articles are very different things, right? So articles, for example, it's something that it's very specific, but a book can be a review of a specific topic. And you think, okay, that's not my field, I really want to know the state of the art of that field. So you can click on books, and you are going to be narrowing. And in just few clicks, typing the keyword, and in 3 clicks, you're going to have your search, instead of 200,000 results, you can be narrowed to 10. And I think that makes life easy. The new model, that's important, especially, I think it's important for everyone, for librarians, for researchers, for authors, and for publishers. So the new, it used to be like that. It used to be like you found the research work in libraries. In libraries, you can have a lot of libraries, but it's always going to be limited, because you are going to need a university, or you are going to need a library itself, like in a town, but it's always to be like that. Since the internet revolution, you can find all the work published by Springer and everyone else, and the main publishers, all over the world. And I think this is very important. You can be working in a remote area, for example, in Antarctica, and having access to the work that has been published related to Antarctica, for example. So that's good for libraries. More content, service, higher usage, better tracking, and preservation. You don't have to be worried about stealing pages of a book. Sometimes it happens, right? So with this model, it's much better. It's also good for researchers. You can be working in Antarctica and having access to everything. But so it's good for researchers, and also it's good for authors. You can be tracking the references of who is talking about your work. You increase your citations. You have a wider distribution. And also, it's good for us, for publishers, because that reduces the costs and makes it easier for us to offer the same service at a lower rates. Okay. So I'm going to go to the last part of the presentation. Hopefully, any questions for the first part? No, it's good. Just don't hesitate to stop me at any time if you have questions, because I'm here to solve questions, and probably if you have a question, that might be the same question of another person. So I think it's good. So interrupt me, just say, hey, Alexis, can you solve that? And I will do that, okay? So I'm going to be talking about journals and books right now. There are 4 types of journals. The traditional academic research journal, right? This is the most famous one. We also have the professional journals, which are mainly about commissioned material, but not necessarily peer-reviewed. It's more like commercial use. And also we have review journals. Review journal, it's at Springer, we don't have a lot of review journals because we have books, and sometimes books give you even a wider review of a specific topic. But covers current trends, are peer-reviewed and contain commissioned material. So we ask to people to produce that content. And we also have letters. Letters are short journals. So as we said before, when you are choosing your journal, you might be thinking, okay, why to choose one journal? Why? It's because, I mean, maybe I can only talk in 4 pages, so maybe it's not proper for a traditional academic research journal, and can be very nice for a letters journal. So make sure that the format of your manuscript fits also on the format of the journal. Did anyone here had troubles with that at some point? Like you do one journal and it fits exactly? to me it's always tricky, so I have to make sure that has the, especially in geology in my field, you have to make sure that the number of figures, for example, they fit in the requirements of the journal. Also number of bibliography and stuff. This is the process of publishing. Very brief. Once you have the idea, right, you are doing research, so you have ideas, it's important. So you have you already know what you want to talk about, and then you have to define to set the framework of your document. You have to know, as I said before, you have to know the requirements, for example, how many figures you want to put. Sometimes you cannot explain one story in 3 figures, you need 10, and you know that since the beginning. So it's good to know that. Also the page, how many pages you want to publish. And at this point you have to structure the paper, okay? So giving normally, as we are going to see, it has like this introduction, geological settings in our case, but data methods or different and results, discussion. So just make sure to fit everything here, and then once you have the glossy, these requirements and everything clear, then you can write a draft, a first draft, and then go to make sure that the requirements, you are accomplishing all the requirements, and then you already make sure that everything is there, so you already have a second draft, and you are ready to go. So make sure to send that to your co-authors. I wouldn't say that it's ethically not correct to submit papers without allowing your co-authors to see the paper. It's actually not good. It's not ethically correct. Sometimes it happens that co-authors are authors of a paper and they didn't know about that. So, and also because, and I think this is very important as well, because you are not alone. You are doing research, but you are not doing research for yourself. And sometimes it happened to me. You are writing and you can be reviewing your draft once and another time and more, and you don't know when to stop reviewing your journal. I think it's very good. Once you have this second draft, send it to your co-authors, so they are going to give you some feedback, and they are going to tell you, okay, this is not good. You are not right here. Maybe we need to discuss a bit more, and then you take into account those discussions. And you will include that in your second draft, and you will create a third draft, which after sending that to the co-author, you are already good to go. So they are aware about the publication, they agree about the publication, and you are not alone, so you have been collaborating with people, right? Very good. And well, once you are here, you are good to go, submit the paper, and to wait. Sometimes to wait a lot. So for that reason, I think it's very good that you make sure that the journal fits on your document fits on the journal. Title. This is very important. It has to be easy to understand, but we are going to see that in a bit. So I'm not going to talk right now about that. Authors, correct spelling, consistency in affiliation. Make sure about that. Considering using ORCID. Are you familiar with ORCID? ORCID, O-R-C-I-D. It's a research. I don't remember the name. It's basically. Well, I don't remember it's an acronym, but I don't remember right now. But it's an ID for researchers. Sometimes, in some countries, there are names that are very popular. Very popular. For example, Juan Garcia. It's very popular. There are a lot of Juan Garcias. So make sure that the ORCID just simplifies. It tells, okay, this Juan Garcia is this identity research ORCID number, so it relates to the person. It happens also in China with Hu Li. Everybody can think about names that are happen very often, right? I think also it's good for sometimes people in some countries, they change their names after getting married. So it's also good. So the ORCID number is consistent in time. So even if the researcher is changing the number, it's going to still have the same ORCID. And also it's good to avoid corruption in terms of illegal or unethical behaviors. If everybody has an ORCID, it's difficult to put like a referee, for example, or make up names of like co-authors. That we are going to talk about that briefly. Abstract, it has to be short, but those topics are very important, and for that reason we are going to talk them in 2 minutes. Keywords. Keywords. How do you select your keywords? Any contribution here at this point? No? Keywords? No, you select. When you are writing your keywords, think about Google. Google will use the keywords to identify your journal, your manuscript. So if your keywords are not right, the visibility of your journal, of your article, excuse me, is not going to be as good as possible. And it's good to use synonyms of the relevant concepts that you are using in your article. Okay? Does it make sense? Yeah? So think, I like that thing. I like that idea. Whenever you are doing something, think on the why that is important. In terms of the keywords, it's important for Google or another engine like searchers. Introduction. An introduction has to solve different questions. For example, why the work was conducted, what the methodology was employed, why you choose this particular methodology, how the methodology accomplished the hypothesis, okay? And then the methodology itself has to be clear, has to be very clear and very important. Whenever you write the methodology, always think about why you write a methodology. Every person, every research has to be able to reproduce your investigation using that text. If it's not possible, you have to rewrite that, okay? Sometimes people make things like shorter, yeah, more or less, yeah, sure, why not? That's not good. It's not the right approach. Every person has to be able to reproduce everything. Then the results has to be present like clearly and carefully. It's important. Discuss the results in the discussion. So everything that it's already an interpretation has to be included in the discussion, not in the results. If you think that you're writing in the results something that it's not direct, it's not coming directly from the results, it's not results. It goes to the discussion. It's very easy sometimes to mix both. But make sure that if you are using your background to obtain one step further the result, that goes to the discussion. Does it make it's okay? Yeah, sure. I can put examples in my case because I really have examples. And then conclusions. It can be it's very important. It can be itemized, for example, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one idea. So make very clear what's the conclusion of the paper. Because as we will see with abstracts, a lot of people go straight, read the abstract, and then go, if they are interested, they go straight to the conclusions. If they read the conclusions and they are very, very interested, they will go to the rest of the paper. So just make sure to write that properly. Acknowledgements, like everything else. If you do a research, you have to acknowledge to whom or to the people that allow you to do that. Sometimes it's a fellowship, a grant. So just write that down. It's coordinated, so it can be tracked. As we will see, Crossref, which we will see later. But Crossref, it's the way to link research, papers, and fellowships as well. References, make sure to follow the references of the specific article. So go to the guidelines and just use the reference. People can waste a lot of time with references, so it's good. I would recommend very much to use like software like BibRef, which can be linked to Word, to Microsoft Word, and just copying and paste and telling exactly the format of the bibliography, so it automatically will be copied and pasted in the right format. The only thing that you have to be, it's just when you are acquiring bibliography, just creating your own library, so it can just one click, and whatever the format you say, it will copy and paste in that format. I think that's very neat, and we will save a lot of time. A lot of time. Imagine, for example, that you submit your paper to a journal, it's rejected, you have to submit that to another journal, which has another different format, and then you have to copy and modify everything and forget something, and with that, just select and put the bibliography. Just you can copy and paste, and that's one click actually, or 2 clicks. Okay, let's focus a little bit on titles. What do you think about this title? An analysis of corruption and its good and bad effects on types of innovation with special application to African countries using a multi-dimensional methodology. This is a title. You like it? No. Thank you. Finally, someone, we are talking more. No, what about just changing that and suggesting a title more like Effects of Corruption and Innovation in Africa, a multidimensional analysis. Good and bad effects, what's that? I mean, just make sure if it can be easier, make it easier, okay? The abstract is very important because in most of the cases, the people is going to read that. I'm sorry to tell, but the people read the abstract, and if they are not interested, they are not going to continue. So that makes the abstract very, very important. Okay? It has to be accurate, and it has to stand alone. It means that it has to include all the parts of the article. We call it standalone. It has to stand alone, because as I said, all the people are only going to read that. So a good abstract should be brief, state the objectives and the scope of the study and investigation, describe the methods, summarize the results, and state the main conclusions. That makes sense, right? So it has to be basically the whole paper, very brief. And what does it mean if you have to include that everything in the paper? What does it mean? If you have to include everything in the paper, it means that the paper has to be finished. It means that you have to do that at the end, together with the title. Because the title has to describe the article. It has to be very well defined, and so same thing. Avoid abbreviations unless are extremely necessary. Here I add in the middle, extremely necessary. Okay? Because if when I was working in Patagonia, we had this we were working with the southern hemisphere westerly winds. It's super long, so we reduced that to SHWW. And once you are working in something, you think that everybody knows that SHWW it is, because, I mean, you are working with that all the time because it's so long, right? So avoid that. You will talk about that in the introduction. You will have chances to talk about abbreviations. Don't do that in the abstract. Also avoid references. That's mandatory. You will never find an abstract with references, but it's good to say, right? Another thing which I think is very important is how to write the paper. The first thing, what's the first thing that you would do in the paper? When you're writing a paper, what's the first thing to do? So you start with the title, for example. What's the first or the second? Introduction. What else?
The observation of the situation that feel, given a clear
okay, like settings or like bibliography or like I get it, yeah. We call it geological setting, but it means like the frame of the investigation, yeah? Good, that's good. This one, the introduction is not good, I have to say, but that's very good. What else? If you're doing an investigation and you're following a methodology, a plan. Okay. Here, where we're going to do it to give some tips or some suggestions for the order. Here, for example, when you're doing an investigation, you are actually doing the investigation. So you are doing a method, right? So you can, once you are doing the method, you can already write the method. Why not? Because it's the moment that you have all the numbers, you have everything on top of the table. So just write that. And also write the results, because you are doing the investigation and you will have the results. So this is the best start, together with, of course, the frame or whatever it's called. In every discipline, it has a different name, right? Then you can go to the introduction and the discussion. You have the results, you can start discussing, and you can write the introduction. And at the very last, just write the title and the abstract. I said before that we have this tool to identify journals, of course, and you need the abstract, but that's only one tool. That's a tool if you don't find a journal, right? For example, you submit your article to one journal, and you are rejected, and then the article is rejected, so you want to look for another journal. So you already have the abstract. You can use that tool. Okay. Some good advice: give yourself time to reflect, write, review, and refine. It means that don't do that the last day. Sometimes people, and me especially, like we have too many things to do, and the deadlines comes and avoid that. It's not a good idea to wait till the last day. It's very good also, and this is something that I like to tell. I listened that someone told me when I was at Stanford University that it's good that you read, or whenever you're writing, you're thinking a specific person, somebody that matters to you, like a mentor, a person, advisor, someone that you think is a colleague that it's always a bit critic, but you trust, okay? So whenever you're writing and you are reading it for yourself, think as if you were that person, what that person would be thinking. So that would make your ideas, like in the subconsciously, will be clearer, okay? So that's more or less get a reader's point of view, but to me, I add to that, like, think on a specific person. That will be even clearer, okay? Give others the chance to read that. Like, it could be the co-authors, could be colleagues. Find a good writer, editor to criticize your writing. And again, starting the paper the last day, 3 days before, it's not a good idea. If you have to do it in 3 days, maybe you have to look for another journal, another opportunity, okay? That's not going to happen. The quality is not going to be good enough, and you are more going to, even if it's finally accepted, maybe you might not be happy with the result. So just give yourself time, okay? And at the end, you will have a revision. How many people here published and had like a automatic acceptance? I never had that. I always ask, and nobody had that. So revisions are very common. This is actually the normal. And minor revision, it doesn't mean acceptance. Just make that clear. You have to have that clear. If you have a minor revision, you have to comment and reply all the comments that the referees told you one by one with all your energy, because it has to be accepted. It's not accepted yet, okay? So revise the manuscript, all the parts that the reviewer told you to review, and also respond to the comments with good English as well, okay? The English on the comments have to be good. And sometimes happen. As I said before, it happened to me because it was out of the scope of the journal. but it can be for other reasons, right? Can be like the English is not appropriate. Can be maybe the reviewers were not good, you know. Maybe I don't know, a paper is not interesting enough for that journal. Just think there are many reasons. Not always it's because the quality of the paper is bad. So it's not a frustrating step. It's okay. I mean, it's more time, but that's not necessarily bad. And sometimes they don't tell you. They tell you, okay, that's not. We don't accept that. But a lot of times, so almost every time, you get like some comments, and those it's like an external review, and for sure are going to make your paper better. So just get the best out of it and try to narrow and find the problem and solve it. And once you are accepted, it's dinner time. Go to celebration. Congratulations. It's a good step. Makes people happy. At this point, you will. I mean, it's accepted, but it has to be produced. It has to be formatted, and you will get emails with this your paper saying, "Do you like that? The quality of the paper, the tables is enough," and you have to find mistaping. There are people working on it, and mistakes happen, so make sure that you read carefully your paper, making sure that there is no mistake, because once you accept that, it's going to be accepted forever. So just consider like some time to make sure that everything is as you want. The tables are okay, especially the tables. There are a lot of problems with formatting tables, so make sure, okay? I'm going to, it was short, the ethics. What's the problem of, can you tell me problems in ethics? Ethical problems in publications? There are many, so, and for sure, I wrote something that you will see now, but anyone has a guess? Ethical problems? Yeah? So somebody wrote the paper, your paper, published your paper.
No. I want to publish it myself and get famous, but someone else is cleverer than me, and he writes actually.
But that's not your. That's not. But you told that person, and that person, because in ethical problems, it's more like you say the idea to want someone else, and that person publishes that. So this is the case?
Yes.
That's a problem, yeah. That's a problem. Another problem might be like you publish your paper. That's a problem, and it happens. Another might be, for example, that you yourself, one person, submits this paper to different journals at the same time. That's a problem too. That's like, okay, maybe one is rejected and the other one it will be, right? I mean, your case is very frustrating actually. And it creates like, I won't tell anyone else never about my research. Yeah. What, any other ethical problem that you can think about? So in conclusion, it's like get the pattern before.
Well, yes, it's kind of.
It's a problem.
Yeah, sure, but you know, sometimes you want to show not the whole idea, but kind of to
Right. I mean, that's a big problem actually.
Well, I think we surely should be very careful about it, but then this problem would decrease the desire to publish your ideas and all the researches. You know?
Yeah. I mean, at least be like more careful with the step. Yeah, make sure. Right. I mean, I'm going to. I listed here a number of problems. For example, scientific like falsification of results. I mean, there are people that are very good with Photoshop. And they change the figure and they say, okay, good, that's an excellent result, which is actually not real. That's a problem. Like copy and pasting without thinking that nobody's going to detect that, and actually it's going to happen because all the publishers are putting a lot of money to avoid plagiarism. So every paper is, not every paper, but a lot of papers are checked to see if people are copying and pasting content. Okay, here there is a lot of things in game. Like for example, in play. Sorry. For example, there is the reputation of the publisher. I mean, if a publishing company is publishing twice things, that's not good. So we make sure that that does not happen. Also, sometimes I mean, you can copy and paste for sure, but it has to be referenced. It has to have a reference. Okay, sorry.
Excuse me, may I ask a question about this? The point in appropriate acknowledgement of prior research and researchers. What are real criteria for appropriate or inappropriate acknowledgement?
Yeah. I mean, you have to, whenever the idea is not yours, you have to say that it's not yours. That's proper. Not saying anything, it's improper. It might happen that you don't know that at some point, but then there is a problem of communication then, sure. I mean, it's a little diffuse, you're right. But I think people, scientists, we have to be as honest as we can to avoid that. So that, for example, if you are doing a research in a specific field, the idea is not yours and was kind of published by someone else, you have to say that. It's not like if it is your idea. I mean, being honest, why not? I mean, at the end, there are people publishing every day, so, yeah?
Maybe I wanted to add something. I think criteria for change and depends on countries. In Germany they are different, in Russia they are different, in France, for example, in my opinion.
In terms of what? It's the
criteria are changing. And not follow.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, the criteria changes, but it has not to it cannot change too much, actually. If it's not your research, it's not your research. So it's not your research. If it's your research, but using someone else's idea, right? Am I right? I mean, in my field, I have, maybe you are thinking in cases that are very specific. In my case, it's very clear. I'm thinking on this guy. Well, I mean, that's
What is allowed to do and what is not allowed to do, like stealing information or something.
that stealing, like, for example, I mean, if it was someone else told you, for example, that something that it's basic for your research, but it's not published, but he told you that, you can say personal communication, like someone, blah, blah, Mr. something or Dr. something, and personal communication, in brackets. Why not? I mean, it's not your idea. They told you that. Why not? I mean, to me, I see that quite clear. I see that there can be some problems there, but the main problems are basically just people stealing ideas. I mean, like writing as if the idea was their idea, and actually can be. Yes, you can. I mean, the idea can be very smart. The subsequent idea can be very nice, and it's enough that. So you don't need to take like everything is yours. Does it make sense or not really? Okay, that's a guide anyway. So conflict inappropriate identification of all co-authors. Just using ORCID, you solve that, but make sure that the people exist. Another problem, I'm going to tell you, another problem with that is using reviewers that suggesting reviewers that they are not scientists, but they have the same name of scientist. It can happen, for example, just you only need to write a non-real email and saying that, so you reply, so there are people out there just reviewing their own papers, suggesting, so they create fake emails as if they were the reviewers, and they are the owners of this new account, and they are reviewing the. So that's one example, just using people that don't exist, literally don't exist. Okay. Photoshop, I mean, at the end, there are not too many cases, but we are following that because that's important. The quality of the science. I mean, there are some countries where there is a lot of pressure in publishing, and some people try to find a shorter way. That's the main idea. And I'm pretty sure in the cases that are diffuse, not so clear, there is no problem, actually a final problem. But there are others that are very clear, you know? Maybe we can discuss more about the proper, appropriate or not acknowledgement, but I don't think the main issue is here, and when it's there, it's very clear, anyways. We are going to travel around the world, okay? So imagine in Finland, one author is publishing a paper and they submit that to the editor-in-chief of a specific journal, and the editor-in-chief, he accepts, he thinks it fits in the goals and the scopes of the journal, and then he or she sends that to the reviewers. They check that with love, with a lot of love. They are doing that for free and really want to help. And they send that to the editor-in-chief with the comments, okay? And then the editor-in-chief writes a letter back to the author with all the comments of the reviewers, and it's not accepted yet. It's a minor revision, so the author has to reply to all the comments saying, this is right, we changed that, or the reviewer was not right, so I'm still considering what I thought because of that, and that, okay? The editor-in-chief accepts finally and sends to Germany, the headquarters of where the production leaders of Springer are. And from there, Springer, the production head, sends that to the venture of our Department of Production in India, that they are already formatting the paper. And as I said before, they have the paper already, but they want your approval. So they send to the author the final paper, like a proof, right? And the author says, okay, yes, change that, but the paper is great. And then sends that back to the venture in India and from Bangalore to Heidelberg. This is the paper, like goes, it's a traveler, it's like a real traveler. And from there, it goes to Springerlink that used to be in the US, but I think now it's in the Netherlands. And that means that it's already in the web page. At the same time, it goes to Crossref. You know what Crossref is? Crossref is the entity that is controlling DOI. So they check the DOI, which is the number of every document, digital object identifier, DOI. So identifies every article and correlates them, okay? So what Crossref makes is to say, okay, this new journal and this new article is talking about 50 articles, right? So it's telling, basically it's controlling who is talking about who. Okay? That's very important because it's going to be the way how you are valued in the world of impact factors and H indexes and everything. Okay? That's actually very important. And once it can be, they make sure that the article is going to be checked for the cross-ref. It's going to be everywhere. It's going online, so everywhere else. Everybody is going to have access to that. Okay, we are finished with journals. I'm going to be talking a little bit about books. I will try to make it short. But I think it's good that you know how a book works, okay? What's the first thing that you need to write a book? Is there anybody here that wrote a book at some point? The first thing that you need to write a book is an idea, like everything else. If you don't have an idea, you don't write a book. But once you have an idea, you can think about writing a book. Maybe it won't happen, maybe it will happen. But I think it's important to know that we are here to help, right? So the first thing that you have to do is to talk with an editor. For example, in the field of earth sciences, geography and environment, you can talk with me. And you can even talk with me to ask about another editor of another field if you want. I have some business cards here just for you to have my email. So at any point, just write me if you have doubts, you want to comment something, just we are here to help, okay? Writing, it has not to be like that. It's not procrastination like 90%. Are you familiar with the concept of procrastination? I'm not. It never happened to me. Sorry, it's not true. It happens basically to everyone, right? So procrastination is basically always finding excuses to do what you have in front. And can be more dramatic or less dramatic, but in writing a book, which is maybe 200 pages long, it might be a problem. But it has not to be either that nor panic, okay? Just for that reason, I think it's good that you know that behind every social media, behind every business card or whatever, there is always one person to ask for help, to ask for support, to ask for comments, because you are not alone, okay? There are 12 kind of types of books at Springer. The monographs, it's probably the most famous. It's a scholar book that talks about a specific topic. I think it's important to highlight the fact that Springer, maybe we don't have so far a lot of review journals. We have, of course, we have a lot, but what we have a lot, it's books, and books are a good way to check the state of the art of a specific topic. So a journal, it's very interesting for researchers at specific high level, but if you want to be introduced to a specific level, even if you are a researcher, or if you are a graduate student, or a PhD student, or an undergraduate student, just it can give you a lot of information about that field. We also have textbooks, edited volumes, which normally are commissioned volumes that are thematic about a specific topic. We have the geography of beer and geography of wine in the field of earth sciences. I think it's a nice, those are examples of the first ones here, examples of the edited volumes. We also have proceedings. If you are organizing a meeting, for example, and you want to give visibility to your researchers, why not thinking about proceedings? Because it's going to be in Scopus, it's going to be citable, right? I think it's important, and it's not much more work that it takes to write the abstract for the conference, but it gives a lot of power to your contributions. We also have professional text, major reference books, which are encyclopedias. For example, here we have examples, encyclopedias, handbooks, okay? Handbooks here, for example. And now we started with this short, brief book It's called Springer Brief. We have different book series about that. For example, I'm starting a book series about mineral deposits of the world. Those are cutting-edge studies, very quick to publish. 50 to 100 pages, 225 pages. I mean, it can be shorter, longer, but that's the idea. Very, very well targeted. Okay. We have popular science as well, and thesis. We like, with thesis, in thesis we don't publish every thesis. We publish the outstanding theses of the selected universities. Okay. I think it's good to know that those formats exist. We want to promote young scientists, and one thing is we give some money to the authors, but we also promote their job and their name. So I think it's very good that you consider thesis for the outstanding material that you have with your PhD students. Just if you consider that your student can shoot there, just write me an email and we will we will try to make it happen. It's not always like that, so easy, but it's good. I think it's good to know. We also have Springer protocols, which is more important in biology, and lecture notes that it's like a textbook, but for seminars, like it's a little different, but it's the same kind of idea. But our commitment with a publication is that it doesn't stop here, because we are not thinking on what we have is good. We are thinking on evolving and improving. And for that reason, we are committed to whatever it comes in the future. It can be applications, it can be e-books, different kind of e-books, multimedia, whatever, we will find it in the future. But we are having people working on that to improve the quality of the formats in the future. Once you have the idea, you already selected the format, what your editor is going to give you, it's like the opportunity to have a contract in a way that it might take 1 year to write the book, but you want the commitment of the publisher all along. So you don't want to be, after 1 year, talking with your editor and he telling you, I'm sorry, but we're not publishing that anymore. You don't want that to happen. So for that reason, we create this contract in a way that you have the guarantee that it's going to publish. So we send this form. It's 4 pages. You have to say your name, where you work, description of the work that you want to publish about, and some similar books that are on the market. Basically, that's all. You send that together with a table of contents, because we need to evaluate that, right? So we have to commit to this book, but we have to learn more about that. A description sometimes is not enough. So I think it's very good, also for you as an author, to have a table of contents properly done. So just going and deciding if you are going to write everything, or if you need the help, or if you want to be the editor and you want to talk with more people, just make a list of chapters and who can write everything. You send that to us together with the table of contents and your CV, because we don't know everyone, so we like having the CV, and that's good for the first evaluation. At the end, if the quality, the English quality and the quality, it has a review for sure, right? Because but if the quality is good and the English is good, it's going to be published. So what makes a good manuscript is that it has to summarize the state of a field. Because, as I said before, it's a review. We don't want to be talking in a long format of a specific, like if it was an article. That's not an article, it's a review, right? So I think it has to be, it's good to think in a balanced way, so including your ideas, but also talking about something else, because the reader has to be free has to have the maximum number of tools. It has to provide possible developments in the future. It has to be tailored to the audience. I think it's good that Springer is not publishing like, it's publishing very specific, and so it's review on a very specific level. You have to think about that. So there are books, if you go to the Springerlink, you will find books that are very specific, and some of them are not going to have of your interest at all because they are so specific. But it's good for you in your field. Okay. At the end, whenever you think on the reader again and think that that person is going to be, after reading the book, it has to know about everything of that specific field. A book series, we already talked about book series briefly. I don't think it's a continuation of a books in the time. So it's not, the person can be following Springer, for example, the book series that I'm starting is like Springer Briefs on World's Mineral Deposits. So every time that we have a book, it's going to be on world's mineral deposits. So if a person is interested in that, following a book series is going to be good. It's like kind of following a journal. This is an image of the contract. And the international dissemination at the end, as I said before, we are promoting, it's our target to get the maximum audience for your job. So we work with Amazon, Springer.com, Springerlink, and different iBooks, iLibraries, and okay. I can either stop here or giving like a short introduction to open access, whatever you want. You want to? Are you tired? No, no, you are not. I see somebody that is more tired than another. Good. I mean, it's only 2 slides, so it's not. Anyone here published in open access at some point? We said, you asked that, right? Open access, it's good because the author keeps the right of your job. So you keep the right of your job. It can be, everything that we publish can be published in open access. And then it's a bit more complicated because the expenses are on the author side. It means, for example, that the author itself, he can have an agreement to, he can have, like in the project, money to publish in open access, either a book or a journal. It can happen that the university of the specific researcher has an agreement, has an agreement to publish in open access. So the university pays for the costs of the open access. That's very good, actually. So it's not on the author, but it's in the university, which has a larger agreement to promote the open access and on the researchers. It happened actually for example, in the US. The US, whenever NSF is giving you money, they tell you to publish in open access. So everybody, what's the difference? So that we open access, the person, the specific researcher, keeps the rights. So what else? What is there? That's very good. I mean, I have the right, so what, right? The good thing is that it's free online for everyone. So it's going to be open, freely available for everyone else. So in our website, as we saw before, Springerlink, every content in open access is going to be downloadable for free. Well, for free, it's already paid, right? So it's just, you can consult, you can check every time, anytime you need that. It has a direct consequence or implication on the citations. So a specific manuscript, either a book or a journal, an article, if it's an open access, has I think it's 75% more visibility and citations. I think it's good to know. There are different kinds of open access, but like free access and open access, and then there is a green open access and gold open access. We don't have green open access actually, and we only have gold open access. That means that the final version can be posted publicly always.